Hi everyone, welcome back. Well, we're back down at Whiteman Park again today, working on the Whiteman Collection International Titan D tractor. There's not much left of it anymore. We got back axle off last week, and this week we've just got to finish stripping down the chassis here and getting it ready to go off and be sandblasted. There's not a lot that we've got to take off it. But we're going to start with these two pieces here that hold up the roof of the cabin, partly because I keep hitting my head on this piece. One of the amazing things about this old steel is that even though most of these bolts haven't been undone for at least 80 years, most of them, this one's going to make a liar of me now, no, most of them come undone, which is pretty amazing. A lot of the bolts are stuffed, they're no good to put back in, but I really haven't broken that many bolts on here, but the ones that are no good are because they're bent and half rusted through and things like that. Anyway, I'm going to just finish taking these two pieces of angle off and then we can get on to the next bits. The next thing we need to remove is this big gear here. Now, in some ways it's not going to be too hard. There is a pinch bolt here and a split in here with a keyway here. So if we undo that pinch bolt on the other side, we should be able to expand it enough to pull the keyway out and slide it off the shaft. However, it's also tucked in here on the rear bearing in this little recess, which means we're not going to be able to just slide it off the shaft. We're going to have to slide the shaft through that way. Anyway, we will see if we can get it to start moving out this way. We've got an inch or so clearance there, and then we'll have to start mucking around trying to move the shaft in the opposite direction. That's not going to be that difficult either. It's just a little bit of extra fiddling around. Okay, so we managed to get the key out and also the tin shim that it had in there. Obviously that's come loose at some point. And we have got it to turn on the shaft just a little bit. It's very tight on the shaft. So we've got a big pipe wrench on the shaft here. We've also taken the two collars off so we can start sliding the shaft out. And we've just cleaned up that bit of the shaft a little bit so that it will go through the bearings a bit more easily. Now we do have a split in here. We've taken the bolt out. We've got a cold chisel in the back, but because we've got this ring here that's holding the spokes together, we really can't open this up much at all. So we're just going to see if we can wriggle this on the shaft and loosen it up a bit. We'll keep putting a bit of spray in here as we go to lubricate the shaft, and hopefully we'll just be able to work it off the shaft. I have tried giving it a tap on there already and it's not prepared to move at all. But yeah, we'll just work away at this and hopefully we can get this to start working its way off the shaft. All right, well, once we actually got that turning on the shaft, that came off a lot more easily than I was expecting. It pretty much just slid straight off. So that's fantastic. Next, we've got to get this cross shaft out. It's going to be fairly heavy too. So to get that out a bit more easily, we've now come up to the rough spot on the shaft here. We're just going to loosen these nuts off, and that will allow the bottom half of the bearing here to drop down on both sides, and we should just be able to finish sliding it off out that way. Looks like the shaft's still in pretty good condition, which is nice. It's about the first thing we've found on here that is. They must have kept the grease up to this bearing. Anyway, I'll loosen that off, loosen those bearings off, get that shaft out, and we'll come back and see what's next. So before getting this sandblasted, I had intended to take this brake cross shaft off in here as well. Now it's seized in place. I've got to get that key out. I've got to clean the shaft up, get that key out, be able to have this free so I can slide it off, get this collar free so I can slide it off, then clean the whole shaft up and heat this up in here so that I can slide it out of here. It seems like it's going to be much easier to do that after it's been sandblasted and the shaft is nice and clean. So I've now got to mask up a few spots in this so they don't sandblast the bearings and things like that. But this is pretty close to ready to go off to the sandblaster now. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can get this sandblasted and get it back here so that we can start the next part of the process on it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. The poor old Titan isn't looking like much at the moment, but this is the point where it starts to change direction and things start to look better with it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!